expression and his eyes had lost their light. Butterfly pea also has anti-inflammatory, analgesic, and local anesthetic properties, and is used by Ayurvedic healers specifically to control the bleeding and pain of hemorrhoids. Dozens of scientific studies have now confirmed its efficacy in hemorrhoids. In such treatment, the piles are cleaned with the decoction of the whole plant, dry root to seeds, and a fresh paste made from the dried plant and applied over the area to relieve pain and staunch the flow of blood. I expected Baba to tell this man to prepare and use the herb, but to my surprise, he did not. He said, do not consume any of the herbs yourself. Do not even taste it. The medicine must all be given away. That will be my ask from you. And they use a Sanskrit term here, which I can't say. But, basically it is, he wanted him to make it all, give it to him, and he was going to give it away to the people that couldn't afford it. My grandfather did, however, give this man specific directions regarding the changes in his lifestyle. You must spend 2 to 4 hours in the fields every day, digging and hoeing. Get your hands dirty as you grow this beautiful flower. Spend time in nature. Let your garden be filled with butterfly blessings. Then Baba gave the instructions that made the greatest change in the man's life. Take a 1-year break from your business pursuits. Live in your farmhouse, either with your family or even better, alone. Spend time with your animals, especially your cows. Take care of them. Keep your life simple. Wake up with the sun and go to bed with the sun. Consider this a 1-year retirement. Baba told the man to continue planting and harvesting the butterfly pea throughout the year. Several crops of this herb will mature in that time, and as they blossom from seed with 5 weeks, Baba told him to dry the plants in the sun, then grind them root to stem, flowers, leaves, and seeds into a fine powder. Bring me the powder, Baba said, and I will make sure it is distributed to the poor people who cannot afford to buy medicine. The man looked confused, but if I don't use this medicine myself, then how will I get better? Giving this herb to those who are sick and have no resources itself will be your medicine. Baba responded with such finality in his voice that it seemed to put an end to questions. Then Baba turned to give his attention to the next person who was waiting. 1 year later, the man returned, and this time he was smiling. He looked happy and younger. He had lost weight. His arms were loaded with sacks of butterfly pea powder, and his wife and 2 daughters, who also had big smiles on their faces, carried marigold garlands and sweets. I am healed, the man reported with childlike glee. Baba nodded his head and looked at the man with compassion pouring forth from his eyes and blessed him quietly by repeating a mantra under his breath. This man who had been so ill touched Baba's feet, which is in India a deeply traditional demonstration of reverence and gratitude. Later, Baba told his students that hemorrhoids are a complication of constipation and mental stress as the cause in the hard-to-cure cases. For this reason, it was important first and foremost to relieve the man's stress by eliminating the root of his problem, preoccupation with himself and his business. That, to me, was kind of a long story to tell. That is what Ayurveda means to me. You don't necessarily have to consume what's on the earth. You just have to have a relationship with it. You just have to connect to what's there and work with it, and you will be healed from that. And Ayurveda goes straight to the root cause, right? And so that to me is what Ayurveda is. But through this introduction, I'll go through the definition and all of that. Okay, so in 2017, I found healing my gut to be a crucial step in overcoming 2 autoimmune diseases I was diagnosed with. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. At that time, I was dependent on laxatives due to poor digestion and faced challenges like brain fog and chronic pain. Anybody ever felt that before? To address these issues, I focused on improving my digestion through detoxification. For 6 months, I started each day with celery juice, a heavy metal detox shake, based on a recipe from the medical medium, which is right over there on that table. There's a bunch of recipes, so you're welcome to help yourself to any or all of those. And lemon water. This routine allowed me to completely eliminate my laxative use. However, I still had significant weight to lose. And that's when I began removing toxins from my diet. Practicing intermittent fasting and ultimately discovered Ayurveda. By embracing these sensible practices, I have managed to alleviate the symptoms of both autoimmune diseases, leading to a much healthier and more fulfilling life, which I'm sure is why we're all tuning into this. My credentials are I'm a certified holistic health coach. I have in-depth studies in Ayurveda to enhance my coaching practice. I discovered Ayurveda during my journey to overcome autoimmune disease, and I have a focused expertise in gut health related conditions. I am the author of the book on the back table back there, For the Love of Gut, which really goes in depth about everything that we'll talk about today. So Ayurveda defined by Merriam-Webster. There's a lot of confusion behind Ayurveda. What is Ayurveda? How do you function without going to the doctor and getting prescriptions? So Ayurveda is a form of alternative medicine that is the traditional system of medicine of India and seeks to treat and integrate body, mind, and spirit using a comprehensive holistic approach, especially by emphasizing diet, herbal remedies, exercise, meditation, breathing, and physical therapy. Now that is the Merriam-Webster's definition of Ayurveda. But this is the real definition of Ayurveda. Ayurveda emphasizes the importance of prevention and advocates for health maintenance through careful attention to balance in life. Ayurveda is everything that you will hear about Ayurveda is balance, just like in yoga. It's about balance in life, including right thinking, diet, lifestyle choices, and the use of herbs. Understanding Ayurveda gives us the knowledge to create a harmonious balance of body, mind, and consciousness based on their unique constitution, as well as make lifestyle adjustments that facilitate and sustain this equilibrium. Just as each person has distinct fingerprint, everyone possesses a unique energy pattern, a specific blend of physical, mental, and emotional traits that defines their constitution. This constitution is shaped the very moment that you're conceived, and it stays with you throughout your entire life. Numerous internal and external factors can disrupt this balance, leading to changes in one's constitution away from a state of equilibrium. Examples of these emotional and physical stresses include one's emotional well-being, dietary choices, seasonal variations, physical injuries, and family or work dynamics. By recognizing these influences, one can take appropriate steps to eliminate the root cause of imbalance, thereby restoring their original constitution. Balance is the essence of natural order. Imbalance signifies disorder. Health represents order, while disease indicates disorder. Within the body, there is a continual interplay between order and disorder. By comprehending the nature and structure of disorder, one can reinstate that order effectively. And that is the goal of Ayurveda, is to restore balance in the body, in the mind, and the soul, the whole person, to restore balance there. Now, has anyone heard of this word, allopathy? That's our doctors, our Western medicine doctors. Those are allopathic doctors. And allopathy is important, and it's very necessary. And Ayurveda works hand in hand with allopathic medicine until allopathic medicine is no longer necessary in each individual person. So the definition of allopathy is a system of medical practice that emphasizes diagnosing and treating disease and the use of conventional evidence-based therapeutic measures such as drugs and surgery. And those are the only two, drugs and surgery. That's the only two. That's all the allopathic. Now, you have more naturopaths now than we used to. I know that when I have to go to the doctor, I always request a nurse practitioner because, you're going to get a less scientific approach and more holistic approach from a nurse practitioner in most cases than you will from a physician. But that's just my opinion. Okay, so here's the real definition of allopathy. The foundations of allopathy. Allopathy is the modern medical approach, in contrast to Ayurveda, which is a 5,000-year-old approach. Allopathy, also known as conventional or Western medicine, is the dominant system of healthcare in most parts of the world. It is rooted in scientific principles and its characteristics characterized by its use of drugs and surgeries to treat and manage disease. The key principles in allopathy. as defined by an allopathic practitioner, is evidence-based medicine. Allopathy relies heavily on scientific research and clinical trials to develop and validate treatments of medication, not testing. It basically puts you in a box, right? Like, if it worked here in this group, it's going to work here, right? Which is not always true. Symptom-based treatments, and the treatments are often directed at alleviating specific symptoms or addressing the underlying cause of the disease. Pharmaceutical interventions, medications, vaccines, and surgical procedures play a central role in allopathic treatments. Specialization. Allopathy has a wide range of medical specialties, with physicians specializing in various fields such as cardiology, oncology, and neurology. Emergency care. Allopathy excels in emergency care and critical care situations. That is what that's what allopathy is really great for, is for emergency care situations. Allopathic medicine as we know it today emerged relatively recently, around the 16th century. In contrast, Ayurveda is an ancient and intricate system of healing that can be traced back to the 2nd millennium BC, approximately 5,000 years ago. Now, Ayurveda is and should be revered, especially for people that are dealing with chronic disease, as a complementary healing system. So understanding that the fundamental distinction between Ayurveda and Western allopathic medicine is essential. While Western medicine primarily concentrates on symptoms and disease, using drugs and surgery to eliminate pathogens or damaged tissue, this approach has undeniably saved many lives. In fact, surgery is also part of Ayurveda. However, the use of drugs often comes with toxicity that can weaken the body. In contrast, Ayurveda shifts its focus away from disease and emphasizes that life must be supported by balanced energy. When stress levels are low and energy flows harmonious with an individual, the body's natural defenses become robust and more capable of fending off illness. It is important to note that Ayurveda should not replace Western allopathic medicine. There are numerous situations where acute conditions and disease processes are best addressed through medications or surgical interventions. Ayurveda can be effectively integrated with Western medicine and enhance a person's strength, reduce susceptibility to illness, and aid in recovery after treatment with drugs or surgery. We all experience moments of imbalance when we don't feel well, and sometimes we visit a doctor only to be told that nothing is wrong. I don't know how many times I've done that. What often happens is that this imbalance has not yet manifested as a recognizable disease, but it can still cause significant discomfort. This situation may lead to question whether our feelings are merely in our heads. Consequently, we might start exploring alternative methods and actively seeking to restore balance within our body, mind, and consciousness, which is where Ayurveda comes in. So Ayurveda and allopathy can work well together. And it does become a point of balance where one falls off and the other picks up. So according to Ayurveda, this list right here was the very first information I ever found about Ayurveda. And when I read this list, I thought, I don't have any of this, and I want this. And so the 8 signs, indicators of good health, according to Ayurveda, is regular and timely waste elimination. You should have a bowel movement at least 1 time daily. Otherwise, toxins may accumulate in your body. Constipation should not occur, and this process should happen naturally without the use of laxatives. As I said before, I was addicted to laxatives and, not realizing that was a big time indicator of poor health. Absence of obesity, clear skin, no pimples or skin conditions, sustained energy throughout the day, no need for a nap. And I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, what you do for a living. If you are practicing these principles, you're not going to need a nap. You're not going to need naps. Intense hunger, at least twice a day. This indicates good digestion. That means what you're eating is going through the process and coming out. No chronic physical pain anywhere in the body. Deep, uninterrupted sleep throughout the night. And a positive mindset. No anger, just happiness and joy. Yeah, so these are the 8 indicators of... Now, I would love to walk into an allopathic doctor's office and see this on their wall, right? Wouldn't that be like...
That'd be amazing.
Wouldn't that be great to be able to go to the doctor and say, oh, I don't have this, I might have this, but I don't have this. And wouldn't that be a great way to start out your relationship with your practitioner? Yeah. So, obesity in the United States is an epidemic, but as you can see, it's just common. It's just an epidemic would typically go away, right? And so this map was created in 2022. So as you can see, 40% of the people in Louisiana have, and this is obesity. This isn't 15 pounds overweight. This is obesity.
Small ones.
Yeah, that's where we're from. And so 40% here. Look, 40% here in Oklahoma. I mean, you can see the red ones are the worst. But as you can see, that we are trending.
What's West Virginia? Is that 33?
Yeah, West Virginia was pretty. This area up in here looked pretty good right here.
I see it's red.
But yeah.
Seems like it'd be in the 40s if it was red.
It is. I just think they missed their number there.
Oh.
But anyway, as you can see, if you could look forward 5 years from here, if we continue on the trend that we're on right now as Americans, our diet, if we continue, these numbers are going to be in the 50s, in the 60s, in 2 to 3 years. That means that half of our population is going to die from a food-related illness. And that is terrible, right? That's like, this could be prevented so easily. So, in Ayurveda is earth-centered. So it is, there is a spiritual aspect to it, but our bodies came from the earth and operate best when we are taking from the earth and eating from the earth. So in Ayurveda, there are 5 elements. There's the ether, which is air, space, ether and air, fire, water, and earth. Vata, there are 3 doshas, which we'll go through in a minute, but there's 3 doshas in Ayurveda. Vata is ether and air. You'll understand this better on the next slide, but Vata is comprised of ether and air, so it's dry. Pitta is fire and water, so it's warm and wet. Kapha is earth and water, so it's, there's a lot of moisture in Kapha. And we have them in different phases of life too. The doshas fluctuate during different phases of life. So, where do the different elements live in the body? Okay, so there are 3 doshas in the body, according to Ayurveda. And all 3 of these doshas control the way the body behaves and the way the body... The definition, well, I would have to pull that up and tell you the exact, but I can explain to you what a dosha is. I can't give you the exact Merriam-Webster definition, but you have 3 doshas in your body. And these doshas control the balance of water, heat, thickness, denseness, dryness. All of that is controlled by the doshas. They all carry elements, similar to like a chakra system, but it's physical and less spiritual. So, Vata dosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, these are the 3 doshas, and like I said, they all have the elements associated with them. So Vata dosha is ether and air. So it is responsible for the energy of movement and kinetic energy. So Vata controls our movement. Like when we're walking and moving and exercising, that's all the Vata, the energy of Vata. The elements are air and ether, so it's dry. And it literally means to move. Vata means to move. Just like in Spanish, va means to go. It's from a Sanskrit word called Vata. In the body, it's responsible for all movements of the body, mind and senses, in the process of elimination. So Vata, your Vata qualities live in a couple of different places in your body. One in particular is the large intestine, the large colon. Particular qualities are they're dry, cold, light, irregular, quick, mobile, rough, and rare-filled. The seasons are late autumn and early winter is when Vata is at its highest in the earth. And when it's highest in the body is during colder months. Like right now, this is when Vata would be highest. The time of day that Vata is highest in your body is from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. The life phase is when you see Vata really take over and become really out of balance is in your older years, in your older age. That's when you lose your a lot of your moisture. It's when you lose like the good fat that protects your muscles and all. Not the fat that we create with Twinkies. It's not that fat. It's the other fat, the good stuff that we need. So that's when you start to lose it, and that's when Vata increases because when the fat goes, the moisture goes, and then the dryness sets in. And then the seeds of the dosha in the body. So Vata dosha lives in the large intestine, pelvic cavity, the bones, the skin, the ears, and the thighs. Now Pitta dosha, you're going to see that more like in adulthood, like before middle age. So your Pitta is your transformation, your thermal energy. So that's your time of life when you're really moving. You're really your career. You're working hard. You're beating the earth. You're really working, and that's when Pitta is highest. And its elements are fire and water. And it literally means Pitta means to burn. So it's like to burn the energy of creation. In the body, it's responsible for producing heat, energy production, metabolism, and digestive functions. Its particular qualities are oily, hot, light, intense, sharp, fluid, liquid, and acidic. And it's most prominent in the late spring and summer when the humidity is a little higher. And the time of day is from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. and 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's during adulthood, and it's responsible for metabolism, and it lives in the small intestine, stomach, sweat glands, blood, fat, eyes, and skin. And last is the Kapha dosha. Kapha dosha is responsible for stability and potential energy. Its elements are earth and water. It literally means to stick, sticky. In the body, it's responsible for physical stability, proper body structure, resistance, and fluid balance. The particular qualities are oily, cold, heavy, stable, dull, vicious, smooth, and dense. And its seasons are late winter, early spring. And it's most prominent in the body from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And its most prominent time in the body is childhood. And as you can think about, when you're a child and you're short and you're chubby and you have all that potential energy around you, around your body to grow, that's your Kapha dosha in its full effect when you're small. And the seats of the dosha are in the chest, throat, head, sinuses, nose, mouth, stomach, joints, plasma, and mucus. And if you think about all of those places, if you think about these places here, you think about dryness, right? Here, you think about, earthy, thick, dense. And here, you think more about water, fluid, mucus, that sort of thing.
So what does the life phase mean?
So that means, when you're little, when you're from birth to about 15 years old, that's when your skin is the most supple and meaty, and your Kapha dosha is really high throughout your body then, because you need the extra fat, you need the extra space to be able to grow and develop. And so the water allows that to happen, the fluid, the extra padding, the extra fat, that allows the body to grow. That subsides in adulthood, and like when children turn from around 15, when they start turning 16, 17, 18, and they go through that phase where they turn into like this amazing looking adult, and they're trim and they've lost all their baby fat. That's when Pitta dosha is most active. That's when Pitta is running through the body. That's when, like I was saying, we're beating the ground. That's our earth element. We're tilling the ground. We're growing. We're building a career. We're building our lives. We're developing our root chakra. And so those times, there are certain elements in our body that we need to protect us. And then as we get older, we lose all that. We lose the fat. We go into this more dry. That's when Vata takes over. So we go from Kapha to Pitta to Vata. But in our body, we have all three. Sorry, do you have another question? Okay. Okay, so can Ayurveda help me lose weight? I know that's what a lot of people are wondering. Is this something that you can use to lose weight? If you balance your body and you eat the right foods, there's going to be no other choice, right? But your body is going to balance out. and you're gonna find some stability in your weight. According to Ayurveda, being overweight is linked to an inherent excess of kapha dosha. Although kapha may not be the sole contributor to your challenges with excess weight, it certainly plays a significant role. One of the core principles of Ayurveda is that similarities amplify each other, like attracts like, while opposites create balance. Kapha and excess weight share numerous qualities such as being heavy, slow, cool, oily, smooth, physically dense, not the other, soft, stable, and substantial. As a result, being overweight can intensify kapha in the body, while an excess of kapha can lead to weight gain. To restore balance, it is essential to introduce opposing qualities, those that are light, sharp, hot, dry, rough, liquid, mobile, and subtle. The advantages of this approach are accessible to all of us, regardless of the pace at which we embark on this journey. Now, think about being a child, and a small child who's running, jumping, hurting themselves a lot, bouncing off concrete, right? Just how little kids do. Think about how important it is to have this heavy, slow, cool, oily, smooth, dense, soft, stable, and substantial. Those qualities are important as a child because you need to be able to protect your bones from all the falling you're gonna do and all the crazy things kids do, right? You're gonna need that. But the problem is that with a bad diet, we keep it. We don't let it go when pitta takes over. We keep that heavy kapha setting. And so we have all three in our bodies. They need to be balanced, but when kapha takes over, which you can equate to, in an English term, inflammation, when that takes over, you start to experience disease. So, furthermore, utilizing the principles of Ayurveda for weight management is a strategy that emphasizes long-term wellness, rather than fleeting results that ultimately lead to setbacks, such as fad diets. This means you won't have to deprive yourself of or unrealistically restrict the variety of foods you can enjoy. So I'm just gonna pause there and say that I have lost almost 100 pounds through my Ayurvedic journey, and I have not at all deprived myself from any of the foods that I loved. I just had to learn what foods I really loved, because the foods that are in packages and fast food is not food that we really love. We think we love it. We're addicted to it.
Yeah.
We think we love it, but we don't really love that. When we start to eat from the earth, we find that we have better, our taste is different. His chair's over here is softer if you want to sit in that one.
Well, that's a soft one too.
Oh, okay.
No, I have another thing I'm dealing with.
Would you like we have another chair. Would you like that one with the
He
arms?
has stitches all in his back and he forgot to put the Band-Aid on.
Oh.
So he's trying not to touch it and he's realized.
Do you want to sit on that couch with
I'm
him?
fine.
I was gonna
Sit
say
up,
I had a Band-Aid
just
on here, but it's.
I'm so sorry.
No, I know, that's what I said.
We forgot.
He forgot.
Bless your heart.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Not long though.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I lost almost 100 pounds through my Ayurvedic journey to date, and I have not. The only I've always eaten pretty healthy, but I really just kind of shifted focus to eating directly from the earth, and that was the change. And when I made that change, I can eat what I want, what I enjoy, and until I'm satisfied, and there's no depriving myself, and that is something I really enjoy. So while you may need to exercise some discipline at first, it won't be long before your body's natural intelligence starts to reemerge, replacing unhealthy cravings with more balanced desires. As this transformation takes place, sticking to these commitments will become increasingly effortless until the routine feels completely natural. So these are some signs that could show you if your kapha is out of balance. A thick white coating on the tongue. Now, we might not be able to see a thick white coating on our tongue because maybe our tongues always looked like that, so the best way to tell if you do have toxins built up on your tongue is just to use a simple tongue scraper every day, and you will eventually remove those. Another sign that your kapha is out of balance is excessive inflammation and frequent urination. So if your ankle's swollen or your hand's swollen, you have to go to the bathroom a lot. That can be an indicator of excess kapha. Sluggish bowels, overweight, difficulty rising in the mornings, feeling lethargic, tired during the day, emotional overeating, and feeling resistant to change. So these are all symptoms of an out of balance kapha. And really, to think about it, it just means inflammation. It just means you have too much of the water element in your body. And we are already 70% water, so adding more to that can become disease provoking. So this is a kapha pacifying food chart. I'm gonna hand you guys these little dosha quizzes here, and I will have one in the Maximum Health page available in downloads as well. But you guys can look over this food list here, and I will have it available to you afterwards. I can email to you. But for now, so these are dosha worksheets, and this is a way that you can establish what your doshas are, what prominent doshas you have in your body, and we'll go through this in a minute. Let's see if Hans can get us some pens. Here, I found some. I don't know whose they are. Here you go.
Thank you.
No, just use a pillow. So on this, the instructions are, you would, if it most describes you, if you're like, that mostly describes me, then that's a 5. If you feel like it kind of describes you, like sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, then that would be a 3. And then if you feel very rarely that you would be experiencing this, then that would be, you would put the number 1 in there. And when you're done, then we can add those up, and I will be able to tell you what prominent doshas you have. So for those that are live on Facebook, I'm gonna go ahead and read it to you, and you can make your number choices. So for your body frame, I am thin, lanky, slender, and prominent joints, and thin muscles. That would be considered small boned. Or do you have a medium, symmetrical build, good muscle development, kind of an average build? Or are you big boned? Do you have large, round, stocky build? My frame is broad and stout or thick. So 5, 3, and 1 there. 5 for your most prominent, 3 for your a little here and there, and 1 for very rarely. The next one is the weight option. My weight is low. I may forget to eat or have a tendency to lose weight. For the next one will be moderate. It is easy for me to gain or lose weight if I put my mind to it. Or heavy. I gain weight easily and have difficulty losing it. So low, underweight is one of the choices. Moderate or overweight, heavy. 5 for the most, 3 for sometimes, and 1 for never. Your eyes. Are your eyes small and active? Do you have a penetrating gaze is the second option. 3rd, do you have large, pleasant eyes is the 3rd one. Complexion. Your skin is rough and dry is the first one. Skin is warm, reddish in color and prone to irritation is the second one. Skin is thick, moist, and smooth. It's the 3rd one. Hair, dry and brittle. It's the first one. Skin is warm and reddish. I'm sorry, went to the top. My hair is fine with a tendency towards early thinning or graying. Or the 3rd one is I have abundant, thick, and oily hair. Joints. My joints are thin and prominent and have a tendency to crack. Or my joints are loose and flexible. Or my joints are large, well knit and padded. Sleep pattern, I am a light sleeper with a tendency to awaken easily. Or I am moderately sound sleeper, usually needing less than 8 hours to feel rested. My sleep is deep and long. I tend to awaken slowly in the mornings. Body temperature, my hands and feet are usually cold. I prefer warm environments. I am usually warm regardless of the season and prefer cooler environments. I am adapted to most temperature but do not like cold, wet days. Temperament, I am lively, enthusiastic by nature. I like to change, or I am purposeful and intense, and I like to convince. I am easygoing and accepting. I like to support. And the last one is the stress levels. I become anxious and worried, or I become irritable and aggressive, or I become withdrawn and reclusive. For the Facebook listeners, if you are interested in taking this test, I am happy to email this to you. Just send me a direct message and I will send it to you. Here's a visual of it. You can take a screenshot. Okay, are you finished? Did you, so you can add your numbers up at the bottom, down there, at the bottom of each line. You did that already? Okay, so you would be a Vata Pitta, which makes total sense just looking at you. But you would be a Vata Pitta and you're pretty balanced in the two. So you would be able to walk into an Ayurvedic program and start just adjusting your diet that direction. You wouldn't have to reduce Vata or increase, or reduce Kapha or increase Vata in any way. You're pretty balanced.
How about that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know, right?
Yeah, what do you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not a crazy person?
Yes,
Or
you
that's
are.
nothing to do with my mind?
Yeah. Yeah. So at the bottom, when you add up all your numbers,
Uh-huh.
at the very bottom, you will have your highest number is your dominant dosha. Your next highest number is your subdosha. So you would have your dominant dosha and your subdosha. Those two, you usually have two together that are primarily dominant, like a kapha pitta, vata pitta, you know, that sort of thing. What did you guys find? What did you find? Did you find out? Let me see.
It'd be, better pitta.
Yes, vata pitta. So it's common, but it is, your vata is high. So I will give you some tips on how to increase kapha, which would balance, because in order to balance out a dosha, you want to bring in more of the dosha that's the lowest. Yeah. So what did you have? Yeah. And so he is a vata pitta as well, the same with you. So
But he's more of a pitta vata.
yeah, more of a pitta vata. And you could increase your vata to lower the pitta and welcome in a little kapha to balance both. So we'll go through the rest of this and we'll kind of help you understand what that looks like. How did you put your stomach, Anna? Your kapha high, your high kapha. So your kapha pitta like me, the same like me, so it would be good to bring in more dryness into your body and to eliminate more of the blood. And I'll come back to the water. Okay. All right. So that is the doshas. That's how the doshas work in Ayurveda. That's a very rudimentary introduction to doshas, but that is what Ayurvedic practitioners look at when they want to establish treatment for you. They're going to look at where your doshas are, and what that shows them is how imbalanced or balanced your body is. And as I said in a couple of slides ago, like attracts like. So if you are a kapha pitta, you don't want to bring in more kapha. You want to bring in more vata. If you're a vata pitta, you don't want to bring in more vata. You want to bring in kapha, right, to balance out the vata. So, you know, it's 99.9% of people are going to be something pitta or pitta, but there's never going to be like a kapha vata, because that would be just absolute balance, right? That would be absolute balance. So you don't see that very often, but most of the time you're going to see in people Hannah's age and older, in the middle age, you're going to see kapha pitta. In your age, you're going to see vata pitta. It's just the natural progression of life. So, but you can balance it.
So if I'm pitta vata, I want to balance more kapha?
Yes, you would want to bring more kapha in and increase the vata a little bit. If your pitta is higher than your vata, you're going to want to bring a little vata in and a little kapha.
Oh. Oh, so. All right.
Now, if you're dealing with kapha, like an elevated kapha, if you're dealing with elevated kapha, then you would want to walk more, create more kinetic energy. If you're dealing with more of your, if you don't have enough kapha in your body, a very low kapha, like you have a very low kapha in your body, then you would want to look at something more like Ayurvedic massage. One of the best places to get moisture into the body is through the earlobes. Ayurvedic practitioners recommend a daily oil massage before taking a shower. Every day, rubbing yourself down with sesame oil. I like to use flaxseed oil, but they say if you can't do your entire body before your shower, if you don't have time, because most of us don't have time for that, the most important places before you take a shower, especially if you need to increase vata or kapha, is to massage the feet with oil and to massage the earlobes with oil, and that will help. That will start to help raise the kapha a little bit. So one of the most effective methods to balance kapha and reduce inflammation is through daily walking. To lower kapha levels or inflammation levels, it is advised to take a morning walk when kapha is most active. So in the mornings, when you wake up, from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., kapha is very, very active. And the reason for that is because that is the end of the time that we were sleeping. And when we sleep, our body, our lymphatic system, moves water around our entire bodies in order to complete digestion, because that's what the body is doing at night, is it's digesting and it's toxifying and it's purifying and it's doing all those things. And it needs water to do that from the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is sending water through the endocrine system, sending water through the cardiovascular system, sending it through the digestive system, everywhere, in order for all these processes to be balanced when you wake up the next morning to live another day. And in the mornings when you first wake up, that is when your body is most ready for exercise, between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. And that's when kapha is at its highest. So when we exercise, we should be doing our heavy, strenuous exercise, our yoga, our weightlifting, running, whatever we're doing that's our major exercise of the day, we should be doing that between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning. It is advised to take a morning walk when kapha is most active, specifically between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., gradually working up to 4 miles each day. Additionally, consider walking for 30 minutes after your evening meal, ideally between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And this is when kapha is again highest during that day. So a little miracle happened when I started doing this. When I started walking at night after dinner, my body was able to digest the food while I slept with the energy, the kinetic energy I gave it during my physical exercise when I was increasing vata before bed. By doing that, I slept so much better. I started sleeping through the night, not waking up even to pee. Like when I walk at night, I sleep like a baby. And it's just because it gives your body that kinetic energy to use at night while you're digesting. So
How specific is the movement of walking, bicycle as well?
anything that you do that's going to create some movement. I mean, Ayurveda specifically says walk. That's what it always, every practitioner that I've learned from, that I've spoken with, it's always about walking. Because I mean, in reality, this is a 5,000-year-old practice. 5,000 years ago,
They didn't have bikes.
no, we didn't have bicycles and we didn't have beautiful walking paths. We had to walk to go find our food, We had to go kill stuff and we had to grow it. And so walking is our natural state.
Yeah.
And so bringing that natural state in, of course, is going to create some level of natural balance, I would imagine. But to answer your question, since you did have surgery on your back, I would imagine that bicycling is probably easier for you just until you fully heal. Oh, okay. It's I mean, I would say any movement that you do at night after you eat for 30 minutes is going to help you digest your food at night while you're sleeping.
Cool.
Yeah, so this practice will enhance Agni. Agni is the digestive fire in the belly. Agni literally is a Sanskrit word that translates to fire. So Agni is the fire, and the element of the digestive system is fire. It's the metabolism, it's burning the food, it's burning all that and using it for that kinetic energy that we need to move around, right?
Yeah.
So it will enhance Agni or digestive fire, leading to improved sleep. Walking also boosts vata, which subsequently helps to decrease kapha.
Nice.
So now Ayurveda and autoimmune. I know a lot of people are very curious about how do you treat autoimmune with Ayurveda? Well, Ayurveda believes, and so do I, just from the evidence of what I have practicing on myself, the gut is responsible for all of that. All of that lives inside the gut. So Ayurveda and autoimmune looks like this. So faulty Agni, the digestive fire, bad digestion, right, leads to ama. And ama is toxins. Ama is toxic overload. That's toxins in the body. And lo ohas, ojas, O-J-A-S. I'm not sure. I looked it up online a while back ago. It says ojas, and then one said us. So don't quote me. But it's low immunity, basically. And as a result, you end up with this word autoimmune, which is not true at all. It doesn't, that doesn't happen. Your immune system does not attack you. Your immune system is there to protect you. Unfortunately, if there is a toxic overload, your immune system can't do its job. So it's then it gets blamed because it's not doing its job. I mean, it's like football, right? I mean, these guys are beat all to hell, and they expect them to go out and run into a pile of men with a ball, and then they get mad when they only pick up a yard. You know, how are you supposed to be able to function if you are full of toxins, right? And that is the key players in autoimmune disease as far as Ayurveda is concerned. So treatment principles in Ayurveda for autoimmune disease are addressing the causative factors. It's always these three. It's always this. It's never not that. It's never not diet, lifestyle, or stress. It's always either all of those or 1 to 2 of those. Eliminate ama, toxic buildup, and that comes through releasing the toxins from your body, doing cleanses, doing they have a couple of different practices in Ayurveda to detoxify the body, and one of them is called panchakarma. Panchakarma is literally like just detoxing the entire gut system. Over there, you'll see a gut cleanse recipe that you're welcome to take. It's a great one. I used it for 6 months, and it worked wonders on my entire body, especially my digestive system. So, eliminate ama, toxic buildup from the body to prevent inflammation. Rebuild ojas to store the body's immunity, resilience, and ability to fight diseases and stress. It's just that simple. Now, if you took the same autoimmune disease to your doctor, the cycle would look like this. It would say, address the symptoms, right? Treat the symptoms. Create a loyal customer, right? Right, that's what your allopathic doctor would give to you. So Ayurveda teaches that autoimmune disease is a result of dysfunction of the gut. The best way to heal the gut is to change the diet. Before you start to try to pacify doshas, you must create a pathway. To create this pathway, you must start with eliminating toxins from the diet. There is no supplement, herb, or pharmaceutical that will help alleviate the symptoms of autoimmune without eliminating the toxins. Pharmaceuticals many times are necessary, but are considered toxins in the Ayurvedic community. So eliminating unnecessary pharmaceuticals is a really great start. So now if you, like the pathway, like I just talked about when we go about the pathway, you have to create a pathway. So think about that you're moving out of your home. You have your home and all the furniture and you're moving. You know, you can't start from the back room and start bringing all the furniture out through the living room with all of the furniture throughout the house, right? You have to create a pathway to bring everything out. And your body works the exact same way. So you have to get stuff out of the way before you can really start to heal. You have to create that healing pathway. And these are things that I recommend. This is a short list of recommendations to stop using. I have a full detailed list in my book, For the Love of Gut, which there's a link on Maxone Health, and there's also a QR code on the back, and there are copies for sale there. But these are all things that are recommended to remove if you're dealing with autoimmune. Sugar, obviously. I mean, that's like a no-brainer, right? Artificial sweeteners. All of these are included in that. Aspartame, sucralose, neotane, saccharin, that one, xylitol, erythritol. Erythritol is a really popular one. That is combined with monk fruit extract, and they call it monk fruit sweetener. But if you look at the back of the label, the first ingredient is erythritol. Erythritol is derived from vodka, basically. It's basically vodka. So it is fermented sugar, and it is then chemically processed to become this pretty white powder, and it is toxic. It is a neurotoxin, actually, and it's also really bad for the kidneys. So any kind of chemically processed stevia, unless it is just ground stevia extract, and that would be like a greenish color, you know, it wouldn't be white. And I see stevia extracts all the time that are white. If it's white, it's been bleached. I mean, that's just the bottom line, it's been bleached. And then the best thing that I have found for the sugar substitute is monk fruit extract. It's powdered monk fruit. It's just the monk fruit that is powdered. And just make sure it has one ingredient, just one ingredient.
Coconut sugar is good.
Yes, coconut sugar is great.
Syrup
Yeah,
is
that's
good.
what's in the tea is coconut sugar. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
American wheat gluten, organic or not, it's bad stuff. Corn, now there are recipes in Ayurveda that call for corn, but they're not talking about the corn. They're not talking about our corn. They're talking about good corn. Corn that can be beneficial for the body, and it's not yellow. You know, it's real corn. High fructose corn
Where do you
syrup.
get real corn?
We can grow it. Or, you know, there are people that grow good corn here and there, but I mean,
most of
really.
the seeds are all GMO, and there
Yeah.
are no seeds on planet Earth anymore for corn
Yeah,
that aren't GMO.
yeah. I mean, there's probably some in like these like indigenous areas that are, yeah, yeah. They've ruined it. They have ruined the corn. Now, corn is in ancient Ayurvedic recipes, but the thing is that that's corn that's like in a salad, you know, or something like that. There's like what, maybe 40 kernels in there of corn. That's maybe a half a cob, but you're talking about cornmeal. You're talking about everything that you eat out of a package is made from some form of corn, and it's not actually vegetables anymore at that point, right? It's just like plastic yellow stuff. Yeah, chemicals, plastic yellow stuff. So high fructose corn syrup, corn, all of that. Stay away from that. Artificial food coloring, and if you see the word natural food coloring or natural flavoring, that is just chemicals. It's just chemical. It's derived from a plant of some sort, but it's still chemical. It's been chemically processed and turned into a chemical.
Well, MSG is a plant too, and it's not good.
Yeah,
All
I mean,
forms
that-
of MSG are bad.
Yeah, and that actually does have some good uses, like nicotine has some good uses, but in the form that they're in, that they're available, no, you can't use it. You can't use that. No. Grains as a whole, if you're dealing with autoimmune, grains as a whole is an avoid. Our systems were not designed to break down grains. Now, if you eat grains in the powdered form, it is a little easier to break down. But when you're eating, you know, whole grains, we don't chew our cud, so we don't have the ability in the 7 stomachs to break all that down. All of the digestive system that grazing animals have, we don't have that. So it's better just to avoid grains altogether. Cow's milk, something that should be avoided unless it's raw milk, and still, there's really no need for it. You don't need it. You're not a baby, you're a baby cow. Most packaged foods, fast foods, cold foods. The reason that we eliminate cold foods, and that's even drinking cold water or cold beverage at your table while you're eating, the reason that Ayurveda speaks against that is because cold goes down. Remember, cold is smaller, makes things smaller. So cold goes down into the digestive tract, and the digestive tract constricts. And then your digestive fire is out. And so it's a lot harder to digest food with a cold beverage. I do it sometimes too. You know, I mean, you got to eat it, or sometimes I just want one of those bubbly drinks, you know. But I mean, it's, you know, for the most part, when you're eating your food, you should be drinking a glass of room temperature water.
You shouldn't be drinking anything 1 hour before or 1 hour after. and
Yeah.
then that would solve that whole problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no fluid while you're eating.
Yeah, I've heard that before too. Yeah,
I knew that. I knew not while you're eating, but.
yeah. Ayurveda does say you should focus on the food.
Just the food.
Yeah, focus on what you're eating, what's on your plate. Yeah. Then microwave usage, Bluetooth usage. The Bluetooth headphones, you know, I had those for several years until I started realizing that, you know, these are actual waves going into my brain that aren't supposed to be there, right? And then limit eating out to 1 time a week. Now, you know, you have to have a balance of life. You have to have life balance, right? So we can't go our whole lives without enjoying our family, enjoying our friends, with going out to eat. You know, but in today's society, it's so easy to just grab something to eat while you're out, right? Or while you're working, and it becomes a daily habitual thing that you're eating out every single day. And that is when disease can, because there's a lot of toxins in that food. There's in fast food and restaurant food. You have no control over what goes into those recipes. So I would tell my husband a lot, I would say, let's do GMOs one time a week when we go out to eat. I only want to eat GMOs once a week at the most, right? So limiting eating out to one time weekly. Any toxic health and beauty aids referred to For the Love of Gut, Chapter 6. There is a whole list of toxins in that book that come from health and beauty aids. And then any toxic household cleaners. Eliminating these will really help to support a healing gut. That will help to support a healing autoimmune disease. Okay, so here's a few things you can start doing right now to integrate an Ayurvedic lifestyle into your life. You can get up each morning before the sun rises. Usually right now at this time it rises about 10 after 6 or so. So getting up about 5:45 in time to allow that sun to rise and activate your solar plexus and let the sun in your life and in your body and your soul rise with the actual sun. Ayurveda brings all of the elements of the earth, the sun, the moon, and the ether into your life. So getting up with the sun as the sun rises or before the sun rises, and then going to bed within 3 hours of the sun setting, which is usually about 9 o'clock, because the sun usually sets between 6 and 6:30, so between 9 and 9:30. This right here is one of the number one things that corrected my digestion, was going to bed 3 hours after the sun sets and getting up within a few minutes of the sun rising. That right there is your circadian rhythm. That's how our circadian rhythm was meant to operate, because we were getting up with the sun and going to bed. That's how we are designed to operate. And so when you start to get into that, the rhythm of the earth and the moon and the sun, your body's circadian rhythm finds its own pattern and its own balance, and it's just great. It's great.
15 minutes at all three, you get all the dose chemicals, the dopamine, the oxytocin,
Yeah.
the serotonin. If you get at least 15 at all three levels, some set.
Yeah. It's powerful stuff. So Ayurveda teaches that our circadian rhythm is regulated by the sun and the moon. Start each day with 15 minutes of meditation, prayer, rhythmic breathing, or just quiet time. Affirmations are a great thing to do during that time in the morning when your mind first wakes up and it's first aware. Affirmations can really do some great work in your mind during when you first wake up. Practice at least 20 minutes of yoga each day. That means just getting on your mat and stretching out a little bit, moving your body. There are things called sun salutations, which is what Ayurveda encourages people to do first thing in the morning, is go outside as the sun is rising and do your sun salutations. If you've ever taken a yoga class, you've done sun salutations, because they're in almost every yoga class. So take 2 30-minute walks a day, one after yoga and one after dinner. Start practicing gut healthy habits. Ayurveda teaches all disease as a result of dysfunction and Agni, the digestive fire. So those are a few things you can start doing right now that will help bring your doshas into balance. In conclusion, thank you for participating in this Introduction to Ayurveda workshop. I hope you now have a clear understanding of the practical teachings Ayurveda offers for improved health. There are numerous books available on this topic, and I plan to host more workshops in the future. My wish for you is to discover the healing journey you've been searching for and to begin overcoming the challenges posed by inflammation and autoimmune diseases. That's it. Okay. Thank you. And Facebook, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. I will answer them for you. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Very good, thank you.
I love it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Very good.
I enjoyed it. This is Ayurveda is I feel like Ayurveda really gets misunderstood in the, well, first, I mean, most people don't even know what the term is. You know, I've never even heard the term, but when people think about natural healing, they think about not being able to go to the doctor. Like what happens if I can't go to, you can't go to the doctor, then you're just gonna die. Well, in those situations, if you're going to die, then you should go to the doctor. You know, if you are in an emergency situation, if you are currently taking medications that would be detrimental to your health if you stop taking them, you know, you need to use an allopathic doctor, right? But bringing Ayurveda in little bits at a time can be very
To achieve that balance, right?
Yeah. So please help yourself to the recipes on the back table back there if you don't have any questions, and help yourself to some tea, and we have some for sale too, and if there's anything that you guys need, let me know.
Thank you.
And thank you, Facebook, for watching.